Wow, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Hey, what's going on? It's what the hell day is it? Tuesday at 3 p.m. Yeah, I'm completely out of my element. How you guys doing? It's your old pal Jay here. Good to see all 22 of you. Welcome on into the stream. We got a special celebratory live stream just for you guys today. So many things going on today. Of course, first and foremost is friggin' New Year's Eve. So how about that? Who's celebrating New Year's? Nope, no, me neither. But hey, for some people still go out, get hammered, have a good time, and to those people, I say good luck. And I'm kind of jealous. We are also here to celebrate 50,000 subscribers, which I'm really in awe, and I'd like to thank each and every one of you. I'm going to say that a lot during the live stream. Each and every one of you, from being at the very beginning when it was a Star Wars toy channel to the toys and then moving into the games in 2022. So thank you all for being there and supporting me through the journey. It's times like these that I really like to give credit where credit is due. So all of you, of course. But this gentleman I'm about to bring on, we joke around a lot. We have a good time. We tell some silly jokes, and I know he's not super sentimental, but I gotta say, before he gets on, it makes me laugh that I would not be here had he not given me the chance in 2013 and a little documentary we did called Nintendo Quest. So that is the foundation of YouTube for me, and I want to thank him. Let's bring on this guy. Who is this mystery guy we're talking about? This award-winning filmmaker. Who is it? Who could it be? Well, it's Rob McZob, of course. Hey,
I'm here.
This guy over here.
Hey, I'm over here one more time for the last day of the year.
Welcome, my friend. How are you? And how is New Year's Eve treating you?
Good. 50,000 and more, my friend. How have you managed such an amazing legacy on YouTube? I mean, I know how you've done it, like tireless work day in and day out. So congratulations to you for that milestone. I think that 100K plaque isn't that far away, and I can't wait to see you display that.
Thanks, buddy. Well, like I said, I wouldn't be here if you didn't give me that opportunity. And I know it was a little rough because you and I have
give
tried.
you anything.
You and I have
signed
tried
up for
to
the hell ride.
we've tried to work together in the past, and it's just been nothing but laughs. So you really did take a leap of faith having both of us work together in a professional setting. So cheers. Cheers to Rob McCallum, everyone. Let's hear it for this guy. Look at this guy.
Cheers, my caffeine-free Diet Pepsi, folks. That's how we're ringing in the new year over here.
In black coffee. Look at all the wonderful people in the chat. We're going to give some shout outs here. We're going to go all the way to Cutthroat Comics, of course, who is first. So what's up, Cutthroat? My mic keeps cutting out. JT, congrats on hitting 50K subs. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for being there each and every single stream. We got Bat Stan. Same to you, my friend. Happy New Year's. Dale, my very, very first viewer ever. My first stream of Fortnite. He was the only one I was streaming to. So cheers to Dale, who I call number one. Dan, what's going on, buddy? Thank you so much for being here. Good to see you. We got the legend himself. Look at this guy, the mad moderator, the Den of Geek. HGC says, Lucas.
Of the Power Glove. It's so bad.
It is so bad. You're absolutely right, Lucas. You're absolutely right. HGC, good to
I
see
love
you.
that you have that queued up. That's my favorite thing, that you know that you're going to cut to it at least more than once per stream, and you've got it on deck. I
Dude,
love that.
you know that I always wanted to be a radio DJ.
Oh, spin that one.
Buddy, we're going to spin the wheel, buddy. We got Chad here in spirit. There'll be plenty more streams, buddy. Don't you worry about it. Stacy is here. Good to see you, my friend. Over 50K subscribers. Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Who else we got? Is that everybody? Oh, hello.
This is me. You know what I love? That Chad is here in spirit. I'm used to Chad only being places in spirit. So this feels very, very
Listen,
fitting.
Listen, he was
The
really
promises
he
Chad
was
makes.
bummed, man.
You know what? I hear this story a lot. Chad is just so bummed.
He was
Couldn't-
bummed, dude.
I get it. I get it. Wanted to film his collection. Couldn't do it. He was bummed. Wanted to be at PowerCon. Couldn't do it. He was bummed.
Chad,
Wanted to be here.
Don't listen to
New
the
Year's Eve
instigator.
stream.
Don't listen.
Couldn't do it.
Rob
He
McCallum,
was
what is he? Some
bummed.
kind of
No.
instigator? Yeah, that's right.
No, I love Chad. Chad is the man. I look forward to when we can do a trifecta, a Triforce stream next.
We
Figure
will.
that
We
out.
will. Vicman, good to see you. Ola, my friend. Thanks, brother. Love you. Appreciate that very much. Stadium J. Bill Ma, Happy New Year's
Stadium
Eve.
J. I love it.
I'm glad that one didn't stick, by the way.
You know what? It's not too late.
No, it's
Stadium
good.
J.
We're good. R22 Double Deuce. Congrats, Jay. Well deserved. Happy New Year to you, my friend. Good to see you. And our good buddy Destro is here. He says hi, Jay and Rob. Raj is here. All right, let's get to it. So we got a fun show planned. We have giveaways, ladies and gentlemen, provided to us by Mr. Tiff himself, Rob McCallum. So we got some prizes we're going to give away from Nintendo 64 Quest and a little something else as well. But Rob, you got some stuff you want to talk about before we get into the beef of the show.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Jay, you know that we have been fulfilling our backers for Nintendo 64 Quest. We had our world premiere November 2nd, and we've been sending out the discs, the DVDs, the 2-disc Blu-rays, and the 3-disc Blu-ray set. They're all sent to backers. Canadian backers had to wait because of our amazing postal strike that ground our entire country to a halt. But
Right.
they're now making their way to everybody. And with that, we had to figure out where everybody lived. And so we had to send a backer survey. So when you back a Kickstarter campaign, if you're unfamiliar with it, and it comes time to give you your goodies, we have to ask you where your address is. But we also get to ask you any other questions we want. Now, usually we don't punish people and make like 100 required questions. So I just had one optional question for people that backed our campaign. Now I think we only had like 367 backers for Nintendo 64 Quest. And I asked them all what console library would they like us to see go after next.
That's a good
Now
question.
we have our own opinions, of course, Jay. There's, some logistics that we'd always have to take into account. So there's 367 people that were asked. They weren't limited to just one answer, so it's as many votes as you want. Some people just said one, some people said 6 different things.
Right.
It was all across the board. So I basically have broken this down by percentage on what people want to see. And I was surprised, genuinely surprised with some of these numbers. All right, so you want to start on the bottom? Do you have any predictions? Top 3, top 4, top 5? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 consoles were named.
So just to be clear for chat, Rob did a survey for Kickstarter, basically asking if and when we do another Quest movie series, what system should we go after? Okay. Super Nintendo's number 1. I predict that. And I would say some PlayStation, probably PlayStation 2 is up there as well. I'm just going to predict those two.
Okay. Atari and Master System each only got 1 vote. So they're at the very bottom of the list.
Dang.
I know Master System Quest just isn't going to happen.
Dude, like, can you imagine Master System Quest? Who would see that?
I think that would be fun. You know what? I think that would be highly educational. I think it'd be highly educational for people because I bet there's a ton of games released on that they don't know, and they don't know how it's different than, say, the Genesis counterpart.
Average Gamer, good to see you. You like Master System Quest, okay? Our buddy Mutron is here. Shout out to you, buddy. Real quick, got mine into the 64 Quest Blu-ray on Christmas Eve in the UK. Was a great early present. Oh, that's great. Well, this is the director, the writer, the editor, the everything of it. So, Pinky Brain, good to see you. So, when is season 3 of Action Figure Adventure, Rob McCallum? There's a question for you.
It is a very good question. We are still climbing ourselves out of the production costs of Action Figure Adventure Season 2. So until that happens, or until the broadcaster jumps up and says, "Hey, we really want season 3," it's kind of got to be on hold for now. So it is show business, emphasis on business.
Pook, good to see you. Sega Genesis Quest. Okay. All right. Continue, my friend.
All right, at 7.6%, PlayStation 3.
Give it 10 more years. I think like PS2 is really becoming something fantastic now, collector wise. So give it a bit more time. Okay.
At 8.7%, Xbox 360.
That's a lot. That's a lot of games. See,
They both have tons, and I find it interesting that they're both so close.
I love 360. I love it. Out of that gen, out of Wii, PS3, and 360, I love Xbox. That's
And
my
I love
favorite.
PS3.
Xbox. Yeah, there you go.
So
Yeah, what are the
All
rare
right.
ones like Africa? What else? I can't even remember on PS3 what's rare. Anyway,
there's a ton. There's a lot of weird stuff, a lot of weird one-off stuff.
yeah.
At 10.6%, PS2.
Okay, so there's 14. This is what? Fourth from the bottom?
This is 5.
Okay, PS2. Interesting. See, I would like to do PS2 quests. Raj has a question for you, Mr. McCallum.
Rob, are you a Viking? No, I'm a Canadian.
Cube quest. Ooh, Chad wants the cube.
At 12%, the OG Xbox.
Interesting. That could be fun. The big heavyweight unlimited money juggernaut enters the arena as we say goodbye to Sega forever. That could be fun.
At 12.8%, Sega Saturn.
Oh, no. And I mean, what we're going to do today with our game that we're going to play and our tier list, that's their spoilers. We're going to talk about the Saturn, so we'll get into it then.
See, this is why I love these results, because I'm curious to see how it kind of will fall in line potentially with what we got planned today.
Yeah, we always talk about, I'm always concerned what the audience is going to think. And what do you always tell me? I was like, that's my job. You just go in front of the camera and do your thing and let me worry about that. But I can't help it, right? So when I think Master System Quest or Saturn Quest, of course they're important systems, but would it be entertaining for a mass audience? I don't know that it would be.
Is it audience worthy?
I like that. Audience worthy. Is it? Yeah.
Like you used to say for AFA, Action Figure Adventure, is it auction worthy?
Is it auction?
You know, it's a good piece, Rob. It's good, but is it auction worthy?
Listen, you guys know in the chat, if it was up to me, it would be some hipster CD system, and then nobody would see it, and that would be the final the 3DO Quest, the final nail. Like that's it.
All right. At 13.8%. The Nintendo Wii.
That's a lot of games, buddy. That's a lot of games. I would be down with that. Let me know when you're getting to the top 3.
We're heading into the top 6 right now.
Top 6. Okay. What do you guys think, chat? Think the Wii would be a good Quest TV show? What do you think? Is it just me? Or is there something comforting to see these two together on screen again? Thanks, buddy. Much love to you. Look at this hipster. Here. I knew you'd say something like that. I love it.
Quest.
I love it.
No Neo Geo.
Look at this hipster.
No
All
Virtual Boy.
Continue.
Votes. All right. So we go from 13.8%. We jump up a sizable amount. You'll notice all of those are only kind of separated by 1 or 2%. So from 13.8% in the Nintendo Wii, we jump up to 20%.
Okay.
The Sega Dreamcast.
A lot of Dreamcast fans. End of the legacy for Sega. That would be a lot of good stuff for you to cover.
Yeah,
For
a lot
me,
of good
would it
history
be fun
stuff.
to cover those games? Hell yeah, it would be. This Dreamcast is wicked. And don't get me wrong, I love the Saturn. Me and Rob both love the Saturn. But Dreamcast is obviously a more successful system in every way.
At 21%, PlayStation 1.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense to me. See, that one is just like clear as day. Yes.
Yeah. But tied right with Dreamcast pretty much.
Yeah.
you
Yeah, I
know?
mean, because we
And
haven't
and it
done-
does, and it's kind of like the further back in time we go, seemingly, except for a couple outliers here, the higher the percentage goes. I don't know if that's reflective of our backers that were the ones voting or what that is, but there you
Right.
go. You ready?
I'm ready. I just got a couple hipsters here. I love it. Jaguar Quest, Cutthroat says Turbo Graphics. Okay.
Okay, we're in the
Continue.
top 4 now, folks. Top 4
Top
at
4.
25%. The Sega Genesis.
That's the 4th. Wow. 4th, eh? Oh man. I thought it would be Super Nintendo, then Genesis right under it for sure. PS2 is coming.
4th.
Yeah, okay.
We already got PS2. PS2 is 10.6%. Way down.
Okay, way down there. Okay.
It was like 3rd from the bottom, 5th from the bottom. All right, at 26%, only percent more than Genesis. The Nintendo GameCube. GameCube, top 3.
Everyone loves the Nintendo. And that was something we always talked about, when we were getting together and writing the idea for this one. It was like, well, if we do something that's not Nintendo, is everyone going to revolt against us, right?
Yeah, and I mean, that's the other thing, right? So people that back this are obviously fans of Nintendo and the 64. So are they picking Nintendo stuff with their votes more than anything else? I don't know.
Right.
Number 2 at 27.5%. The Nintendo Game Boy. I love the idea of a Game Boy Quest. First of all, around for a very long time.
There you go.
Tons of fucking games.
Yeah.
Tons of games.
It's just I could put my own personal likes and dislikes aside. I agree with you. I mean, that would be a hell of a collection for sure.
All you would need is like a big duffel bag for all your games.
Well, I just need like a little lunch bag. That's it.
Yeah.
I got them all.
Can you imagine? You're just sitting there going through all the little carts looking for it all. Oh man,
That
rough, would be painful.
That's rough.
All right. Number 1 at 46%, Super Nintendo.
Interesting. Yeah, we called that one. I was pretty close.
That doesn't surprise me. That
Pretty
doesn't
close.
surprise me. Game Boy at 27.5% really, really surprised me.
Yeah.
I figured Cube would be up there and
Thank you,
Genesis,
Scarfo.
and they're pretty much tied at 26 and 25%. But it's a no-brainer that people clearly want to see Super Nintendo Quest.
I can poo-poo on whenever I want, and I do.
He usually does.
I do.
He does.
That
He doesn't
doesn't mean
hold
I'm
back
gonna
any of
win.
his poo-poo.
It doesn't mean I'm gonna win, but I can still poo-poo on it.
He poo-poos
Interesting.
more than you realize. You should see all the footage he's poo-pooing in.
Mutron says Super Nintendons. Yeah, I mean, let me ask you guys out there, and people seem to get the idea that we don't like Super Nintendo, but I'm just kind of curious as to why that system so much. Even I would say almost more than the 64 we got asked. I would say more than the 64 we got asked for Super Nintendo. I'm just curious why. In your own words, I just want to know why.
Whose words would they be?
Well, it doesn't have to be like, oh, statistically this and that, Mario and blah, blah, blah. I don't care about the stats. I just mean like why you personally think Super Nintendo is worthy of a series. And then you get an answer like that. There you go. Just like
Because
that.
it's the greatest game system ever, Jay.
HEC, just like that. Just like that.
I mean, it's got a pretty great legacy, right? It came out at an exciting time for gaming. It has a ton of killer titles, a ton of not so killer titles, but it's got a pretty massive legacy. You know,
Yeah, for sure. No love for the turbo. Sorry, buddy. No love for the
nobody
turbo.
voted for Turbo, or
No.
Jag, or CDI, or 3DO, or
I'm not
Vectrix.
surprised with that. We are here. We have a job to do. Chat, you guys have a job to do. I have
Uh-oh.
Rob on the show. We are actually co-streaming, so I'm on his show too. And what we're doing today is we're doing the famed tier list, in which we are going to randomly pick consoles, and you guys are going to vote. Rob and I are going to tell you where we think they should go, but ultimately you guys are going to vote with the meter, and you're going to decide. Why don't we show them what's up for grabs for prizes? What do you think about that?
Let's do it.
All right. Fresh from the old McCallum factory, we are giving away one of these bad boys, still sealed in the wrapper. I didn't even try it on, even though I wanted to. This is Nintendo 64 Quest custom-made hat, straight from Rob McCallum's factory, ladies and gentlemen. It's a very nice factory. I've been on tour to it. Thank you much. So this is one thing we are giving away. Let's put that down. We are giving away a sealed Link from Tears of the Kingdom. Now this is special, okay? So we're going to be giving this guy away. He's still
That's
sealed, minty.
Wow.
There he is with his old glove. I missed that game.
Yeah.
So we're giving this guy away today, okay? By far my favorite right here. There's two of these that we're giving away. Are you guys ready for this? They don't come framed. That's your job, okay? Two of these beautiful Nintendo 64 Quest posters that we can sign. There we go. So
Nobody wants us to sign these.
Giving away two of these. So we got 4 items we're giving away. Oh, it's even got barcodes on it. And what we're going to do is Rob and I have trivia questions we're going to ask you guys. And as you can see, we got the new wheel here. There are so many slots. So once the slots are filled up with the right answer, we're going to write your name on the board, spin for the prize, ready to go. Rob, are you ready to rock on this tier list or what?
Yeah, totally ready to rock.
All right, guys. Happy New Year. And we are coming to you live from the Console Wars headquarters. Where are we going to start? We're going to start right here. Nice and easy. Speaking of what I think should have been number 2, this is the Sega Genesis, released in North America in 1989. Rob McCallum, let's talk Genesis, my friend. Will I get the poll up?
Yeah, I mean, the Genesis, oh man, she dug her fangs into me when she came out. She was such a grown-up, cool kind of console that when you're so used to playing Atari and then Nintendo, this thing that hits the market just felt more grown up and like the thing that teenagers needed to play. It just really catapulted you. You know, it really was, you know, welcome to the next level. It really felt that.
Yeah. For whatever reason, Nintendo denied that there was a 16-bit system, kept saying there wasn't. Of course, we know that was a lie. And that gave Sega a lot of time to bring Yes Mutual on their Mega Drive over here. And they had a really big 2-year head start on the 16-bit wars, only having really to worry about NEC's TurboGrafx. And man, did this thing dominate. I agree with you. I played it at my aunt's house, Rob, for the first time. She had Arnold Palmer Golf and Ghouls and Ghosts. And I'm not a golfer at all, but I loved both of those games. Just, you remember Arnold Palmer? Like the guy was like this big.
Yeah, he's huge.
You know, comparing that to the little Nintendo black box guy or Lee Trevino or whatever, they were so small, but Genesis had these big sprites. And the fact that they got a Capcom game that they ported over, Sega ported it over, and it was just a beautiful translation of the arcade game. Man, I was hooked, dude.
Yeah, and I mean, they really leaned. I mean, there was a lot of branding and marketing working in their favor. Like, look at all the IP and celebrities that they tapped into.
Yep.
For like those first 2 years, right? Like Tommy Lasorda baseball, Didn't like Pat Riley have a game as well?
Yeah.
Like Michael Jackson,
Pat
Lemieux had a
Riley.
hockey
Yep.
game. Andretti, Monaco GP, like
Montana,
Spider-Man.
baby.
Yeah, Montana.
Yep.
It's like so much that they leaned into like the brand identity of the biggest stars out there that they could match with a game, and they made a game with it, and it was super arcadey. It felt like the best version of the arcade at home. Now, some of that worked in their favor, but not always. But it did really feel like this is as close to the arcade as we'll ever get at the time. This felt like this is the home version of going down to Wizards or Aces.
Nintendo was absolutely ruthless back in the day, and because of their licensee agreements, a lot of third-party developers at first couldn't bring games to the Genesis because they weren't allowed to bring the same game over, have it on the Nintendo and the Genesis. So a lot of developers had to start their IP, whatever, Castlevania or whatever you want to call, from the ground up. So yeah, Sega had to translate a lot of their arcade ports, which is why the launch titles are mostly arcade conversions. We just thought, hey, that's cool. We could play the arcade at home. But no, they did that because most of the development was in-house for the first year or so.
Yeah.
So if you guys...
Well, it was easy too. They didn't have to wait or pay anybody. They got to keep all that. No license fees or anything. It's a smart way to go.
The way the tier list goes, the only way an S tier can happen is if the poll wins an A, and then Rob and I, this is going to be a long shot, both have to agree that it is S tier worthy. Only then will it go. The S tier is the God tier, guys. So if you want it to be an S tier, vote for A. Same with the F tier. If you guys all vote D, Rob and I can decide if that's going to go in the dumpster fire. That is the F tier. Really is.
See, the hard part about this is I don't know the list of consoles that you've got, cooking. So I've almost got to like judge these regardless of other consoles at first. But we know at some point we're going to be faced with, well, if we put Genesis in A or B, what does that say about the other one? So this is where it gets tricky. And this is where we rely on everybody out there watching to help sway us with some irrational YouTube internet logic.
JMK, what's up, Mikey? What are you doing over here? Good afternoon, my friend. Happy New Year to you. Dale says, I still remember the Simpsons Christmas episode where they had the game that looked like Mortal Kombat. Bart ended up with a golf game.
Bloodstorm. Or was it Bloodstorm or Bone Storm, wasn't it?
Bone Storm is ready.
And it was like Lee Trevino's putting challenge.
Yeah, he got the lame putting golf game instead of Bone Storm. He's all bummed out.
I love the Sonic that popped up like the devil, like Mario and Sonic. Take it, take it, take it, take it, take it.
Yeah. He steals it. Oh, hilarious stuff. Hilarious stuff. Hey, Neil, Happy New Year, buddy. How you doing? Yeah, so, I mean, let's talk flaws. What are the flaws of this console overall? What do you think?
0. It's perfect. I loved it. The controller was a bit bulky, and 3 buttons somehow felt like either too much for the games or not enough. Like it was never like the perfect amount of buttons, and you always kind of just made do, especially coming over from like an NES controller. It was like, what does this third button do? And then it was like the games that like clearly needed that third button, you needed 4 or 6 to really kind of grapple with it. So I would probably start out on the controller, as much as I think it's comfortable.
Some of the early third-party stuff, like a lot of the EA stuff, was pretty rough. Ports of PC games like Populous and like Budokan and stuff like that, just awful garbage. But I'm not going to hold that against the system itself. Brett Hall, yep, there was a Brett Hall hockey game, 1350 CIB. Sounds about right.
Love it. I know it came out for Super. I didn't know it came out for Genesis. That's great. It's great.
Yeah, this is like you. It's very sentimental to me, so it's hard for me not to give this a high score. But we're going to see what the chat says before you and I decide, Mr. McCallum. So if we go to the poll over here, we can see that 88% of you lovely people have voted A tier for the Sega Genesis, 6% B, 0 at the mid tier with C, and 6% say D tier. Who was it? I'm calling you out, Mikey. I know it was you. Who voted this D? It's a judge-free zone until you're judged. With that, Rob, I would like to hear where you'd like to put the Sega Genesis.
For me, it's like it's one of the great video game consoles out there that didn't rely on gimmicks, that has a solid library of offerings. The games evolved over the course of the entire lifespan of the system. It kept up, it innovated, it rivaled the competitors, and has remained worthy of discussion. And several re-releases through greatest hits pack, mini consoles, and every iteration you can think to get those games and those ports out there. That said, because of the legacy of all video game systems, though, especially that we'll be discussing today, I truly feel that this is a B. There's a lot of systems and libraries that are better.
What?
But the Genesis is kind of like, if
All
you
right.
want to talk about the gaming greats, it starts right there. And then we will easily be able to say why certain other systems are better than the Genesis, like clearly better. And
So-
that's why I'm saying it's a B.
Right. Just to be clear, you can have, it's not one per tier, right? You can have multiple on A or B.
Oh,
or
I know.
whatever.
There could be multiple A's, multiple B's.
So Rob,
But what
would
I'm
put it on
saying
the
is,
B.
I just foresee that anything we would put on A would be a clear difference maker
Sure.
from something on B. And I know that there's clear difference makers when it comes to consoles out there from Genesis. And therefore, it's got to be on a B. That's just the way it's got to be.
Yeah, you're taking into consideration what might be coming, and that there are, of course,
Yes.
greater consoles than this, and they are all random. By the way, there's no rhyme or reason to what I picked today, so everything is just, random.
And I love Sega. I'm a huge Genesis fan, and I would
Yeah.
definitely want to go on a blast processing quest.
But it had blast processing. Neil makes a good point too. Genesis did have the better version of Mortal Kombat,
And Aladdin, and like so many other games.
Yep.
We can go down that path too. I like Hyperstone Heist better than Turtles in Time, but I'm sure I'm in the minority there.
I would give it personally. I would S tier the Sega Genesis myself, but we
Wow.
would go with the chat who says A tier. So the Sega Genesis from
Jay, if you're not going to
1989.
listen to me, why am I even here? I just why do I got to be here?
What are we doing over here? What are we doing?
All right, you know what? I'm going to take a break. I'll be back. You discuss this. I got to walk this off.
That's fine. That sounds fair. That sounds fair. Boy, what a guy. In 1977, chat, I don't know if I want to know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. How old were you in 1977? I was 2. And although I did not get this in 1977, once again, I go to my aunt, who was at the forefront of technology and who had Pong, that had the Atari 2600, and the first person I knew to have a friggin' NES. So I played my 2600 for the first time once again at my aunt's. This console to me is very important when you're speaking of the history of video games. What Nolan Bushnell did for the industry cannot be understated. He treated his programmers like rock stars. Back then you had one person pretty much per game. One person per game working on each title, and he wanted to make sure that that person was at the forefront of the game, that they got the acknowledgement. Bushnell was famous for having staff meetings with, homemade cigarettes and brewskis and hot tubs. It was the 70s after all. It was just that kind of environment. And I think that that's just fun overall. That being said, do I ever have an itch or desire to pull out the 2600? Never. And I do mean never, because the games are horrible. They're horrible. You guys have talked about Pac-Man before, so we're not going to bring up Pac-Man on the 2600. Okay. Respect to the god that is Bushnell. However, I don't have much love personally for this system. Rob, I'm going to get the poll up. I tag you in.
Yeah, I mean, nobody can argue the place in history and what it's done for video games everywhere. It really solidified the razor blade model. right? I mean, we know Fairchild Channel F was the first cartridge-based console where you could basically keep the unit and plug in different games. But it was really the Atari that made it a successful business venture that we're still basically replicating today. The business side, amazing. And the problem is when you play something like Spider-Man for the 2600,
Oh,
you get excited thinking about Spider-Man, but then you play it
no.
and your
No.
imagination
Let me
can't
interject.
bridge
Let me
the
interject.
gap. Okay, go ahead.
You get excited when you see that box art.
That's
You
right.
get when you see the box art, and then you play it, and you're like,
You even think of the 67 cartoon and the comic
Yeah.
books you read, and it all fills your mind of what this is going to be.
yeah.
And then you play it, and it's such a far cry from anything that your imagination can fathom as being fun that you just get disparaged and discouraged. You try to rationalize it because maybe it was the only console you had at the time and you're trying to have fun with it. And there's some small fun experiences, but this does not hold up to today. And that's why I would figure why I know my rank for it anyways.
I mean, it was everything to me too, as well, Neil. I'm just what I'm getting at is I remember, in the schoolyard, everyone talking about this game, Pac-Man, and so I begged for it for Christmas or my birthday, and I got it, and I plugged it in, and I hated it. The Pac-Man version on the 2600 is one of the worst games ever made, to the flickering alone. And I mean, no disrespect, clearly, to Bushnell. He's one of the most important figures.
Nobody's questioning his intelligence, his prowess, the savviness of the time, what Atari was able to accomplish, the introduction of third-party companies like Activision.
Activision broke off from Atari, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, all of that is super great. And we wouldn't have anything that came after it except for that, except for this system. So we know that's important. But where does the system belong? I can tell you this. This is the barometer for me, Jay. You had an Atari 2600 and we played it. And at no point did I ever ask to have an Atari 2600 as a kid. I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the best game that I had was, I mean, maybe Spider-Man. I would say Empire. But even playing Empire, to me, I was never a points guy. I never understood it, right? I get it now, but back then it was just like, when did the walkers stop coming? Oh, they don't. You just play until you can't go anymore. And that's not a hit against classic arcade games, because who doesn't love them? But when your first taste of video games is this, it was just kind of like, ew. Like Space Invaders, the first time I played was on this. I'm like, okay. And then you see the arcade with the gorgeous art and the 3D visuals and all that. And you're like, oh, okay. That's supposed to be that? Oh, okay. There you go.
It's rough.
Yeah, Chad says ET didn't cause the crash. The lack of quality control for game development did. 100%. Yeah, for sure. Puka Ninja, I had so much fun playing Adventure on the 2600. There you go. An average gamer says the 2600, the system that had that one game to cause the 83 video game crash. Well, I'm trying to think of the gentleman's name, Rob. Help me out here. E.T. That was
Howard
God. Scott Warshaw.
Yeah.
We got to hang out with Howard in 2015, man. And dude, that was pretty cool meeting that legend. And dude, he was one guy who had a Spielberg 6 weeks deadline to single-handedly make a AAA game. So, and again, I've said it, I'll stick up for Atari. If you don't read the instruction book, that's on you. If you read the instruction book, it makes a lot more sense. Anyway, you got to think where you want to put this, my friend. If we go to the chat at a whopping 50%, we have a B tier. B tier overall for the 2600. Now, I'll go first here.
Okay.
You got to remember, mid tier is C. And if it is on the C tier, Rob, that means you would want it in your collection. That's how we kind of gauge that, okay? So I do like my wood grain. I gotta keep it in the collection. I do respect it. I would give the 2600 a C tier.
That's where I'm at. Really a C tier. I mean, and it's only because of the legacy. Otherwise, it would be D.
Yeah, if it didn't have the great Bushnell behind it and everything that came out of Atari. Yeah. Oh wait, we said B, right? Yeah, the chat said
D.
B,
We
B
said
tier. That's right.
chat said B. We said C. So
That's
how do we? Why do they keep winning? Again, why am I here?
This is the game. This is the game. Why are you
I
here?
don't like this game.
Oh, wait a minute. I know why you're here. You're here to give away some prizes, are you not?
Fabulous prizes.
You're here to give away prizes, my friend. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, we have 14 slots on the wheel. Okay, Rob's going to ask you guys a trivia question. The first 14 people to answer correctly are going on the wheel. And then we're going to spin. What do you want to give away first, my friend?
Let's give away the hat. That seems fun.
We're going to give away the hat. Or in Canada, we call it a toque, eh? We call it a toque.
You might call it a beanie. I love these things. They're absolutely my favorite merch we've ever made. They're so comfy.
There you go. Courtesy of old Rob McCallum there. Pinky's Brain, thank you for the sub. Much appreciated, my friend. Welcome on in. Okay, you got a trivia question. Okay, remember, the first, how many? 14 slots. We only have 14 slots on this baby. And I got to tell you, when I spin it, it does go back a couple wheels. So gravity controls all. All right, Rob.
Do we want to start with the hard one, Jay, or the easy one? We've got two.
I think the hard ones should be the poster. I think those are the best. Those are the
Okay.
best prizes.
Okay. So
There you go, guys.
the
Answer
question
one.
is, what console did Castlevania debut on?
First 14 go on the wheel. First 14 go on the wheel. You want to go faster.
What console did Castlevania debut on? Now, I will say this. It came out on two consoles. Releases were about a month apart. So there is a clear winner. And I want very specific answers, too. Are we allowed to chime in at all, or?
I'm not saying anything.
Yeah, like
this is your game. I'm just the guy who does this stuff.
Okay.
You tell. So we'll start. Do you want to tell the answer? We got enough? Do we have 14 people?
Not yet. We don't. I don't see a single right answer.
Are you 100% sure about this?
100% sure.
Okay. Only you would make a question like this. Only you would make a question like this. All right. Oh. Give him a hint then. Give him a hint.
I see one right answer on the board.
There you go. See, you got me. Because I would have said the other one too.
Well, you would have been wrong.
Rob wants a hipster answer.
You know what? I'd even take the second console that was released for a month later under the alternate title, Vampire Killer.
And he said that this was the friggin' easy question. Oh my God.
I do want to keep my beanie. I love my beanie.
That's why he doesn't. He gives it away.
I don't want to give it away. That's right. If nobody gets it, we get to keep it. If we don't get 14 answers, I'm putting my name on the wheel. That's how it goes, folks.
Oh God. Hipster answer.
See, hipster answers. You know
There you
what,
go.
Chad? You know me too well. But this is also why you tune in and why you love this. All of this is for you, Chad, and everybody else watching. All 52,000 of you.
We need scarves. Oh man, never busted those out since what 2021, I think.
Scarf Lords.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Do you want to
have 14 answers yet?
Well, he said it's up there, guys. So throw it up there, and we're gonna do a spin. We gotta keep her moving here. Is that the answer? Brett, what's going on?
You guys could probably just Google it at this point too, you know.
Well, I gotta tell you, chat, he got me. Well, if you got the answer wrong at this point, just say what you think it is because we gotta fill 14 slots. I didn't think Rob would bring up
It's not NES.
the
How
hipster
about
hat
that?
so soon.
It's not that much of a hipster. I mean, it's a little bit more logical, wouldn't you say?
Actually,
It's not a hipster response. It is just a logical answer to your
Brett,
query.
that's hilarious.
You know what? You can't be wrong when you do that, Brett.
All right, we got 14.
I don't know.
Okay, well, you're gonna be the one who's feeding the names off to me. So tell
All right, so
tell
I'm
us
gonna
what it
start-
is
I'm
and
gonna
just
start
give me
at
the
the
names.
beginning here. I got to scroll all the way up. Okay, so the
You-
answer is the Famicom. Came out on the Famicom first, and then a month later, released under the title Vampire Killer for the MSX2. Just a
Oh,
month later. That would have been the hipster question, but no. See, not total hipster, just half hipster. So, Pinky's Brain definitely gets one. They were the first to say it.
okay. Keep going.
I'm going to give the Denny Geek a slide here because they said Famicom Disk System, and I believe that it was playable on the disk system.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Cutthroat Comics.
Okay.
Stacy Hatch.
Okay.
Raj Ram.
Raj got it. Yeah.
Yeah. Mr. G's Game Lab.
Yeah.
Jeff Morris.
Yeah.
And it's Chad finally came in and said Family Computer, which I will begrudgingly accept. And then put the rest for me because these people didn't get it.
Panasonic Video. What's up, Norg?
If
Well,
it
I
comes
don't know
in
how
a
this-
blank space, it's me.
Okay, if we get a blank space, Rob keeps his own gift. Happy holidays.
There you go.
Here
Hey,
we
you know
go.
what? Time for giving was last week, buddy.
What's that?
You're
Okay.
taking it back. It's January.
It's time to take away, ladies and gentlemen. All right, spin the wheel. Where it's gonna go, nobody knows. Does anybody care?
Come
Well,
on,
maybe
come
some
on.
people
Big money, no
care.
whammy, no whammy, no whammy, no whammy. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Hey! Cheater pants.
You can't
You're
win your own
such a-
prize.
Watch me.
Well, it's blank. So way to go, Rob. Derailing the stream like he always does. We're on a blank. We're on a blank. So what do we just keep
You can
rolling now, or what do we do?
Go ahead, spin it again because I wouldn't want you to lose anybody's interest from watching this just because they can't Google the right answer.
We're not supposed to half fill the wheel. That's not what it's for.
Well, it's not my fault. People
Here we
aren't
go,
answering.
It's blank again.
Just can't not win.
Huh? So what does that mean? Nobody wins?
No, I
Oh.
think Pinky's gonna win because they were the first to answer.
That's a good tiebreaker. All right. Pinky, good job, buddy, over here.
Now, are they barred from winning anymore now that they've won? Is that how that works?
Well, I don't know if we're not even going to get 14, Rob, with your friggin' crazy math problem answers. Holy
Well, I'm
Jesus.
sorry. You could have thrown out just any kind of console and jumped on the bandwagon. Like I said, Google is your friend, folks.
Okay, so what we're going to do, Pinky, get at me via social media any way you can, whenever you can, and give me the details of where you would like it to be shipped. Sound good? Oh my God, hilarious. That was hilarious. I love it. Okay. I'm gonna wipe the board, buddy, and we're gonna get you going here. All right, you're up.
Super Nintendo. The big console that everybody wants us to hunt down what don't you say about it? I mean, Mario World obviously kind of changed the game. Even for Mario titles, it seemed to be fresh and brand new and an evolutionary leap. And we thought we had seen it all between the OG Mario Brothers and Mario 3. But it still, managed to take it to that next level. And that alone sets the bar for what we would expect for kind of some of the most marquee games ever. When I think of Super, I think of the RPGs, man. Like those Final Fantasy games, the Mana games.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like those alone make me love this console to a whole nother level, right? It is special for that. I've never had a Super. I have an SNES Mini, but I never had a Super growing up. My brother had one, and he'd come down and visit in the summer because we were raised in different places. He brought his Super, so I got to play it for like a whole summer, which was awesome. And man,
you know
it
what?
was good times.
This was in the time in gaming history when games felt different. Like if you played a Super Nintendo, it sounded, and it looked just completely different than the other consoles. Then the palette was different. The Turbo, that was different. The Genesis, it sounded different. Now we're in a time, I'm not, poo-hooing on today's modern gaming, but we're in a time now
You in the poo-poo.
if you show me a Series X game, or if you show me a PS5 game, it's of the same thing. It's the exact same thing, right? We're back
it's
then.
all homogenous. There's no identity. Yeah. There's no flavor. There's no character. It is all very swappable.
Thanks, Chad.
Save Nintendo, I think. Nintendo's first-party IP stuff feels very different than still anything else out there. Still feels very Nintendo. I know we're seeing some stuff with like Astrobot, feeling very much in that platforming Mario world, but still, I think you're 100% right. There's such a homogeny of games out there that the console matters not. It's just a means to play the software. Whereas back then, it meant so much of everything.
And how great was it the first time you played Mario World, which I assumed most of us played as the first game, and you held that controller and you're like, oh my God, there's like 4,000 buttons on this thing. Like there's just so much, like 4 face buttons and then the right and left, whatever the hell those do. Like it was just incredible. But the companies, the third-party companies, and of course Nintendo utilize the buttons in a way that it was just second nature. Like I think in Mario World, they moved the screen or something like that. Like they don't really do a whole lot. Like they didn't make you use all of these buttons for no reason.
I remember in our Nintendo clubhouse, in my treehouse, you had an insert from Nintendo Power that you put up on the interior roof, and it had a picture of the Super Famicom controller.
Oh, I did.
And I remember just staring at it, trying to wrap my head around the shoulder buttons, the X and the Y, and because it was a Super Famicom, they were colored differently than what we eventually got.
There was
wild.
Red and blue and green and whatever. And I actually preferred that to what we got. I actually prefer the Japanese design completely to what we got. Super Star Wars, the Indiana Jones is great. Average Gamer says NHL 94. There you go, Rob.
No, that was for the Genesis talk. There shall not be any confusion with the NHL series between the Genesis and the Super Nintendo.
And that's what
maybe
I mean.
He's probably just catching up on the stream. He started late. He thinks this is the Genesis.
They played completely different. Yeah, for some reason the EA sports games on Super Nintendo, it wasn't the same. It just wasn't. Star Fox, Den says, yeah.
Link to the Past, of course. F-Zero, Mario Kart.
Hey, Friday I'm starting to ship out stuff. Yeah. SNES was amazing. 100% agree. The Final Fantasy's Chrono Trigger, which I finally got to play through a lot of it this year. Final Fantasy 2 and 3, Mario World. Of course, like the beginnings of Rare with Donkey Kong Country, like really starting for them to really start to shine. ActRaiser, ActRaiser was amazing.
Fantasy Star though. No Fantasy Star.
No Fantasy Star.
Loses tons of points there. No Sword of Vermilion. You know, you want
And-
to talk about it being S tier, but it doesn't have those quality. No Toe Jam and Earl.
Harold the Acrobat. That's on both, buddy. And Bubsy, don't you worry. Bubsy's on Bubsy's
So is
on both.
Gex.
So is Gex, that 3DO sellout. He sold out Trip. He's like, well, it's not doing so good over here, Mr. Hawkins. I'm out of here. Bunch of bullcrap. Gex, I will never forgive you for that. Ever. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. There was a boxed copy, long, big boxed PlayStation 1 copy of Gex at Game Cycle not too long ago. And I went back there and it wasn't there anymore. Did you pick
Oh.
that up?
No, I wouldn't do that. Wouldn't hunt down the PlayStation 1 long
Big
boxes.
Long box. Was that you? Because I went back in there and it's not in there anymore. It's gone.
You know what? You display your trophies your way, and I'll display them my
And
way.
you'll steal your trophies your way.
I
saw
caught you
the,
slipping, Jay. I caught you slipping.
I saw the Contraforce that you picked up there. You picked it up and you looked at it.
Oh, you saw that video, did you?
I see.
Seen
it
my
all.
videos?
I see it
Oh,
all.
yeah.
Okay, let's go to the chat, guys. By the way, there's some of you coming from Rob's channel, and my community here. If you have not subscribed to Rob McCallum, please do so right now. I'll be your best friend for that. 85% Rob, A tier. So you're first this time. Do you think this should get bumped up to an S tier, or what do you think?
I was gonna say, a solid C. It's not as good as the Genesis, in my opinion, and it's maybe not the best Nintendo system, so it deserves to be like a C. I was trying to
brutality.
rationalize not a D. That didn't seem fair. No, this is an A for me.
Oh, you scared me. I was like, what? They're gonna revolt.
That was a hard pivot. No, this is a solid A for me. It comes into question what would be S tier. What console, if not this, would make it to S tier. I really don't want to say more than one could be S tier. So I think this is an A tier.
So you're looking at totally different. You're thinking S tier is crown for a king. There can only be one. That's the way you're looking at it.
Yeah, kind of.
That's a
Yeah.
different way to look at it, an inaccurate way, but that's fine.
No,
we'll
not
play with it.
necessarily. If we're talking God tier and people want to believe in just a single God,
Some people have
then I
many
think that's the
gods,
way to
my
go.
friend. Some
Well, that's
people have
okay.
many
I'm not
gods.
faulting that, but I'm console agnostic. But I think that there could only be one king.
Fair enough. Brandon from Facebook Land, good to see you, buddy, and thank you very much. Appreciate that, dude. Got to get you back on the show sometime soon. I'm gonna Superintendent's an S tier, 100%, no questions asked. I don't even need to explain why.
Well, you might have to convince me to move up from my C.
I thought you said A.
I mean A.
Wake up.
I'm losing subs on my channel, so I gotta go reverse my position. Gotta please the people. It's an A. You know what? It's a double
Everyone-
S tier. Whatever you need.
Everyone is in Rob's chat. Come on over here. It's okay. You'll be safe over here. You've been abused long enough. Just the Final Fantasy games alone. Mario World. My problem is the lack of games that stand out as far as collecting rare games, and which is one thing we both talked about. What are the big grails that matter? Star Fox competition card, of course. But let's talk retail, because that's what we put in. What retail grails are really big, besides Lester the Unlikely, of course?
I don't know enough about the library. I'd literally have to do some Googling. I know like a lot of the RPG stuff. I think Blackthorn is up there. I think that's a Blizzard title.
Blizzard, yeah. Chrono
uh,
Trigger, but I mean, it's common, right?
ActRaiser 2.
ActRaiser 2, yeah. Matt, what's up, buddy? Good to see you. Good afternoon, Night City. Good to see you. Stop being a boogie, Jay. This was for the people. I gave it an S
Bougie.
tier.
Stop being bougie, Jay.
Whatever,
This is
boogie,
for the
booger.
people.
You know I can't read over here. I gave it an S tier, HGC. What do you want from me over here? I gave it an S tier. I'm just
But,
saying.
okay,
Where's the
what makes
stadium
it an
event?
S tier for you? Is it literally just the 2 Final Fantasy games in Mario World? Those 3 games make it S tier? Link to the Past, maybe I would throw there, but like, are there 4 games would bump a console up to S tier? Because I'm sure we could
Well,
find 4 equally great games for Genesis.
Link to the Past, Chrono Trigger, Super Punch Out.
No, Super Punch Out wasn't. No, it was
Super Punch
okay.
Out's
It
great.
was good.
F-Zero, thanks, Dan. Keep feeding them to me. What's up, Josh? Thanks,
No.
buddy. How was your birthday?
No.
We're moving on. The chat has spoken. So there's no S, but it is going on the A tier. The almighty chat has spoken. Next to its arch rival, the Sega Genesis. We put the Super Nintendo at the A tier. Good stuff, chat. Good stuff. All right. All you hipsters out there, let's get to it. The SNK Neo Geo, the rich man's console. I bet you thought the TurboGrafx was the rich man's console. Well, it was, but not even close to this bad boy. This was a console that used the exact same internal hardware as the arcade game boards did. So the game that you would buy at retail was the exact same game you would play in the arcade. Sounds great, right? Especially for 1990. The Super Nintendo wasn't even out yet. We had Turbo and Genesis, and then you had this thing. This was the devourer of worlds. This was Galactus, dude.
I remember having to help you lift one of the cartridges and put it in the console just so that it would have that super tight, heavy fit. It was awesome.
Our buddy Ian from across the pond has a full set, I believe.
Oh my goodness.
Of Neo Geo.
Wow.
Yeah, so this baby came out in 1990. Rob, do we know anybody that ever had this in its heyday? Did you? I didn't know anybody.
No, I mean, only you. Man, you were the one that had it.
I got it in like 96 at Jumbo Video. They used to rent it out, and it was just right place at the right time. They were getting rid of it. The games are absolutely, in my opinion, way overpriced. They still are. Hold their value. Yeah, they're way overpriced back then. Of course, they're amazing. They're arcade games. You know, stuff like Cyberlip, Samurai Showdown, Magician
Baseball
Lord.
All-Stars 2 is where it's at with this one. And it's finally coming to the Switch, dude. It's finally getting SNK Volume 3 and Volume 4 just got announced.
Oh, good.
Switch.
That's
Baseball
great.
All-Stars 2 is finally coming.
That game is awesome. Speaking moistly, good to see you, buddy. How you doing? Happy New Year. Yeah, so I mean, now I don't have any games for this. I got rid of the 4 that I had quite a while ago, actually. I always kept the console, though. I mean, I have the Neo Geo X that came out, I think, in like 2005, which is like, I think, 25 games in a little mini, kind of like the first mini that they had of this thing.
Was it that early? I thought it was like 2012 or something. I don't know.
No, I was at Masonville as a part-timer, so it was around like 2005, 2006, around there. What's the legacy of this system? Where does it fall in video game history? Where would you put it?
It's a good question. You know,
It's
the
so
90s were
odd.
an interesting time because a lot of people suddenly had the resources based on third-party releases for other consoles to develop their own hardware so they could stop basically feeding other people and losing their profits. But, you know, when you put so much R&D into making your own console and then you have to market it and kind of get out from under, not unlike what we're seeing with the streaming wars of nowadays, right? Everybody
Right.
wants to have their own streaming channel. Easier said than done. It just, unfortunately, I think it's just a footnote in 90s gaming. SNK will always be known as a developer first and foremost, but not a hardware manufacturer.
Yeah, and I mean, if we think about, I really couldn't even tell you what the hard to get games are, and we were comparing it to like, would we do this for a Quest, right? Like, what are the hard Neo Geo games to get? Well, quite frankly, all of them, because they're all. You don't just walk into a mom and pop shop and see Neo Geo games. You don't. So maybe like 1 out of every 5, and then they're still like $200, right? So, what are the flagship games though? Like Fatal Fury. Like this system really quickly became
Yeah.
fighting game system.
King of Fighters, Fatal Fury, Samurai Showdown. Basically, a lot of the fighting games, right?
Yeah.
King of Fighters. I say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, Chad, it'll be interesting what you guys say. I do love it because I like the weird stuff. It's nice that it wasn't
Metal Slug.
especially
Yeah.
especially in the 90s. It always wasn't Nintendo and Sega, which is one reason I like all the other weird stuff, right? Because it's great to have competition. So, but the Neo, I even felt like even when 3DO and CDI was in, Neo Geo was always on the outside still. It wasn't, you know what I mean? It was never.
They
just
were
kinda
always
there.
doing their own thing, regardless of it being successful or not. And it wasn't really touched. And I don't know if that was just something like where they were more successful in Europe and they didn't care about the North American market as much, because it didn't seem to. I don't remember seeing a single Neo Geo commercial, for example. It was something mentioned
Yeah.
in magazines and amongst
In
your
ads.
friends
Yeah.
and seen in arcades. But like it was kind of like the first hipster kind of system. You had to know about it because you were just that deep into gaming culture.
Norg, I got you for sure. I think being critical of something isn't negative. So yeah, you're always free to give your opinion here. You're in a safe spot. When Rob and I bark at each other, it's all jokes anyway, right? Rob, right?
Yeah.
Who
Same for
Duck
the
Nut?
camera.
What a name! I love it. Josh says it's the closest thing to having a full arcade cabinet in your home. It's an S tier. Interesting. Okay, so
I don't
think-
know. I would say the Dreamcast is pretty close to having an arcade cabinet in your home.
So the chat says with 43%, this is a mid tier. So this is a C tier item worthy of being in a collection, and meaning that you guys would want it in your collection, but it's just kind of okay. Does my go first? Yeah, I'll go first.
Yeah, you go first. This hurts. This hurts, Jay.
It hurts. I think I would dead on agree with the chat. I think it's a mid tier. I love Fatal Fury. Do I play it all the time? No. But I mean, I think to me, the Neo Geo is more about the memory. It's more about what it represented back then. It was an elite console. It was something that you could only dream of ever having, like arcade graphics in your home. Forget about it over here, right? So I think most of my love for this thing is with that. I'm glad I have the system. It's a nice piece for the collection. I would give it a C tier. C tier.
Yeah, I would say D. I would honestly say D, because it just didn't move the needle in any way at all. It gave you exactly what was in the arcade just at home, and that's not enough.
Right.
It's really not enough. So I'm saying D.
Yeah,
And I love it. And I love the games, but I can play them at the
Games are
arcade
great.
and I don't need to own it, and I couldn't afford it and I couldn't find them and I still can't.
The games are great. And actually, as we're going through our EGM reads on Sundays, when the Neo Geo games pop up, the same thing is said by the reviewers, where it's like there's no challenge because you literally have unlimited continues. So every game you buy for $299 US, you just beat. I mean, you would have to like make the limit for yourself. Okay, I only have 5 continues, right? You'd have to set your own parameters.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first Neo Geo came out first was $889, and today's money that's $2,000. Oh my god,
Wow.
that's crazy. So the chat says we're
lot
gonna
of
put this baby on the C, but Rob gives it a failing score. Rob does not or would not like this in his collection, and that's fair.
It's not a failing score. It's just I would pick other consoles ahead of it.
Rob failed the Neo Geo, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here on the New Year's Eve stream.
You know what? You got a trivia question, or what are you doing? What are you doing here?
We're doing trivia. You want to do trivia? Okay, I got a trivia question.
I mean, it worked out so well last time. I don't know why we wouldn't do more of it.
Maybe if that was the easy one, maybe rethink your hard one. Maybe rethink the hard one. All right, ladies and gentlemen,
No,
we're
I like the hard one.
gonna do another giveaway. We're giving away Link, the Link amiibo from Tears of the Kingdom. It is minty. I will try my best. Okay, I will try my best to ship it out in this condition. Okay, I don't want to hear it came to me with a bent corner and all that. I can't control that. All I can tell you guys is that it will be shipped to you like this, and hopefully it will be delivered to you like this. Okay, so we're giving away Link from one of the best Zeldas, in my opinion, which is Tears of the Kingdom. And I have a question for you guys. The question is this. Answer once, please. There are 14 slots for those of you who are just joining us. The first 14, Rob will name off. We'll put them on the wheel. That's a fair way to do it. What year did Donkey Kong 64 release in North America? What year did Donkey Kong 64
question.
release in
Good
North
one, though.
America? It is a good one. It is a good one. Only right answers will be accepted. Meanwhile, Matt says, I agree with Rob. You could buy the price of a Neo Geo at launch.
I got to screenshot this, and so I can post it that somebody actually agrees with me in my gaming opinions, because it doesn't happen that frequently. So I've just screenshotted this, Matt. I appreciate you, and you're going to get 3 spots on the wheel just because you've come around to this side of the
3
fence.
spots. Woo!
You heard it. You heard it.
1996. Okay. Keep them coming, guys. There are 30 of you guys in the chat. Keep them coming. We want to fill this wheel up. This is for Link Amiibo from Tears of the Kingdom. Chad, always the hipster. I love it. 1945 is incorrect, sir. My God, man. Do you even game, bro? Do you even pop culture?
If Chad had a video game console, it would be the Classified X.
Oh my God, those are fine words. Okay, Rob, the year is 1999. If you want to go to the top and read the 14.
All right, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Josh Pepper.
Okay.
Mr. G's.
Mr. What?
Matt Rubin.
Mr.
G's Game Lab.
Oh, yeah.
Matt Rubin. Stacy Hatch.
Okay.
Pook Ninja.
Okay.
H to the G to the C.
Okay.
Speaking Moistly.
Yep.
Brett White.
Okay.
Jim Smith.
Jim Smith.
Pinky Brains.
Okay.
Raj.
Yep.
The Den of Geek.
Okay.
That's it.
Oh,
The
too
other
many,
slots
slots.
are
Too many
for Rob.
slots.
No,
Okay.
Matt Rubin gets the other slots. Give Matt the other slots.
Okay. No, that's cheating.
Yes. No,
No
it's
way.
not. Hey, there's got to be some value for me being here. I got to have some say in this.
All right.
See what happens when you side with the director, folks? Good things happen to you. Good things.
All right. Don't do that. Keep it fair.
Don't do it. Keep it fair. Matt, it's too late. You've come to the dark side.
Taking it off.
You crossed that bridge. No. Oh, then they're mine. They're my slots then.
We're going to do spin agains. Those will be spin agains.
No.
Okay, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. You want to go faster?
Let's go.
Dude, things going to fall off. That would be hilarious. Hang on. It tends to go back.
Oh, it's Pinky's brain.
Pinky Brain,
It's a
congratulations.
double winner. It's a double winner.
You have won. There you go. Yep. You have won the hat. And you have also won the Link Amiibo. So congrats to you. So Pinky, I love you, buddy. Make sure you reach out to me at some point so I have your wherever you want me to ship this. But I am going to ask. I'm going to tell you, unfortunately, you can't go for the last 2. But congrats on winning those 2, buddy. Absolutely amazing. You're lucky day, absolutely. And thank you for being here. We appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Are you good? Do you need to go for a walk and cool off while we start talking?
Yeah, you know
about
what?
this? You better. You better. Rob's a bit of a hothead. All right. Let's get modern, a little more modern. The year is 2001. And up until this point, for the most part, video game systems were created by video game companies. Well, what about Sony? Forget about Sony, I said, for the most part. And then who remembers E3, when Bill Gates comes out with his boy, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, to show off the monstrosity that was the Microsoft Xbox. Look at this thing. You remember turning this thing on? There was like this green, globby, glowy stuff that came right out of it. This was powered by something not of this earth, my friends. Something more, something sinister. The Xbox. You guys remember the Duke controller? All you tall guys probably had no problem, but for me over here, it was a pretty big controller for my little tiny hands. But what can I say? We may do. This was also affectionately known as the Halo system. Where can I play Halo? Where can I play Halo? Well, you played on Bill Gates and The Rock's Magic Machine, Rob McCallum.
Yeah, I mean, this was a big deal. And it is still such a physically heavy console to move around. I don't know what's going on in there, but it's a lot. And like the controllers have like the little dongles that separate from
Yeah, Duck Nut, shout out to you. Thank you very much, my friend, for the sub. And the clear and the black and
that's
the
one
clear.
of my guys. Now
There
he's
you
on
go.
your side. Look at that. I lost somebody. See
The
what
jelly
happens?
beans. You didn't lose anyone,
Oh, I'm losing, Jay. I'm
But-
losing.
but you lost. Everyone make sure you give Rob a friggin' sub. Do you know why? Because he's the guy who makes the quests over here. I'm trying to think. So there is a very famous or infamous video of our director friend here making a trip to his local mall in the Toronto area to get his copy of Halo 2. Why don't you tell everyone about that? Maybe the second gaming doc? Second? Perfect Dark, and then this one, right?
Yeah. So I did a pickup video when Halo 2 came out in 2004, I think it was. A midnight release at Electronic Boutique in Oakville when I was in college. And it was funny though, because leading up to that, Jay and I were discussing, do you want Halo 2 or do you want Vice City? We kept going back and forth, and I hadn't picked a console yet either. So
San Andreas, actually, thank you.
Oh, San Andreas. Sorry about that. Yeah, San Andreas. But it was always what's going to be the console clincher for me. And I thought, well, it's got to be Halo 2 because we had played Halo 1 so much nonstop. It was literally the next evolution from GoldenEye. Yeah, we played a lot of Perfect Dark, but we didn't have that level of fun with Perfect Dark that we saw in GoldenEye until Halo. Because when Halo came out, we were doing LAN parties in different rooms at people's places. It was next level. And I mean, vehicles.
And we got to say,
such a good time. It was a system mover.
We were all here for GoldenEye. I think everyone in the chat can agree. Everyone played GoldenEye. Everyone has those same memories, which are amazing. And then Perfect Dark comes out, and it just wasn't the same. Now, let me say, it's an incredible game. What I mean by that is that Rob and I, our group of friends, didn't gravitate towards Perfect Dark the way they did GoldenEye. Now, some of them moved on and stopped playing games. Whatever the reason, Perfect Dark wasn't the same experience as GoldenEye. But then when this baby launched, oh my God, we had friggin' LAN parties where we got up to 3 Xboxes.
Yeah.
And yeah, Blood Gulch all day long with 2 Warthogs. That's it. It's game
Blood
that's all you need. You have 2 Cobra Terradromes and then open field and 2 friggin' Vamps. It's like the best thing ever, man.
And honestly,
it's the best.
If that was the reason you bought an Xbox, you're good. I can't say that about every console where one single game can justify its sale. Now, usually when we're looking for a console, you're looking for what is the thing that's going to make me want to get it, right? What is that one title? Nowadays, it might not matter so much because, again, we said games are so homogenous. Whether you have the Sony offering or the Microsoft offering or the Nintendo one, like it's kind of here nor there. But back then it was like, okay, if I'm going to commit to this, I got to make sure there's at least one title that's going to keep my interest. I always have the rule of 10. Is there going to be 10 good titles. And I thought there'd be at least 10 great games for Xbox.
Yeah, this
Turns out I only
launched
needed one.
with Project Gotham, with Fusion Frenzy, Star Wars Obi-Wan. Fable was a couple years after.
But it's great. I mean,
dude, we're just talking titles in general. Yeah, Fable, Halo 2, and then that's it. No, I'm just kidding. It's an incredible system, and I was always nervous about Microsoft coming into the console space. But again, this is where we're getting into one of the last generations where systems felt different. And although this and the PS2 and the GameCube were pretty close, when you played the separate systems, you could still feel that difference. I think this was maybe the last gen. Maybe. I loved the Xbox. For that generation.
Here we go. I know you're gonna say it. Where's the caveat?
After Halo, there wasn't a ton. Usually, if a game came out on PS2 and Xbox, I would get it on PS2. I don't know if that's just because I was such a fan and loyal to the original PlayStation. I don't know. There is a couple minor things, like when you were taking your little walk there. The controller, the Duke, as it's called, the original, is really big. Really big. Little too big. And then the other thing, where as you guys know, DVD was all the rage in the early 2000s. You could play DVDs on the Xbox. However, you needed a $50 remote to access that feature. Whereas in the PS2, you could do it right off the hop just with your controller. That's
I always thought it was cool that you could put your CDs on the Xbox and save the music to the internal hard drive too. And some games like their NHL 2K series would allow you to populate and call the triggers out. So when you score a goal, you can pick the song.
That's amazing.
Or like when your team scores and all the intermission music and all that.
And in Grand Theft Auto, when 3 and Vice City finally came out to Xbox, there's a radio station that just reads your hard drive on your Xbox. So whatever ripped music you got, it will start to play that. Like that's next level stuff.
Yeah.
I always adapt to the controllers. You know, even the GameCube is probably my least favorite. I still.
Oh, you're nuts. You're nuts.
Maybe the CDI. CDI might be the worst. TJC is in the house. What's up, brother? Good to see you. Kiwi's here. Happy New Year to you as well. The complaint I would have overall for the Xbox is just knowing Microsoft entering this space. I knew, you knew, we all knew that no matter what happened, it would always be here. Because it's Microsoft and they have unlimited money and they have every right to be here. But it was just kind of a bummer. This time we also we saw Sega go by the wayside as far as consoles go. And it was kind of a shift in the industry. So
yeah, but I'll give them credit for releasing that amazing Mountain Dew version. Again, picking up a cue from the 64 era, the colored consoles. Tell me that Mountain Dew Xbox isn't amazing. That Halo Xbox isn't amazing. Yep. Those color variations are awesome. But for me, there's just not enough titles, like a lot of marquee titles that I need to have in the library. Again, how many titles do we need for it to be considered an A tier kind of console versus a B tier or a C tier? We always use legacy as a barometer. Did it do something different and alter the course of gaming history? Does that move it up and down? And then we kind of go to the library, right? Is there enough titles to justify an A, B, or does this go C tier? Where are you feeling? What's the poll say?
The poll so far, Mr. McCallum, says A tier 59%. 59%.
A tier 59%.
B tier 35. C6 D0.
I am not surprised that the chat is once again against me. I would not say that this is an A tier console. I mean, this is where we put the Super Nintendo. And if you compare both of those alone.
Yeah, Josh wants us to bring up the headset. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. For the launch of Halo 2, I call it the birth of Xbox Live. I know it wasn't, but this is when I got Xbox Live. That midnight launch, gaming once again changed. Although PS2 did have connectivity to the internet, it was terrible.
So did Dreamcast, and so did GameCube.
It was free, it was terrible, and it was laggy. Xbox Live was on another level. It was professional, it was clear, and it worked. Retro Card, what's up, buddy? How you doing? Good to see you. TJ says, I was one of the first with Xbox Live and played online title MotoGP to death with some Americans. Amazing stuff. Absolutely. I would say that when you're looking at stuff like this, the first party support is really important. And I think we learned that from Nintendo way back in the day, right?
Yep.
So,
absolutely.
All right. So I think it's you go first. So the chat says A tier, 61% for the old Xbox.
I say B tier. It's just not enough to be an A tier. It's not a marquee system up there.
B tier. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it has enough titles in the library to truly become an A classic system that I would put alongside the Genesis and the Super Nintendo in this case.
I would have to agree with you. As great as Halo is, and like Den said, Fable is another staple of the system.
Knights of the Old Republic. I mean, there's
Knights of the Old Republic,
10 great games.
Yeah. But I agree. I don't think it's on the same level as Genesis or Super, but you guys have spoken, and 65% of you say it is on the A tier. Yeah. I mean, Josh says S tier alone for Xbox Live and the headset. Yeah. Thank you for mentioning KOTOR, Ribs. Okay. Moving on here. What do we got next? All right. We don't have to take a super long time on this one, but I think it is worth bringing up. So let's end that poll. The original Pong was released retail in 1975 by a very, very smart Nolan Bushnell who saw an opportunity. And we're not going to get into the Ralph Baer versus Bushnell, who made it first kind of thing. We're just talking about the original version of Pong, the Atari version, not the brown box. So again, I will thank my aunt for introducing me to video games. And she had this, and I played it. And I got to admit, I don't really remember much of it. Although I will say that it is probably the most simplistic video game, and it still is a ton of fun. In fact, we were just at the arcade a couple months ago, and they had a big version of this, and Will and I were playing it, and it was an absolute blast. It's just tennis. But man, it's so fun. I love Pong. I always have.
Yeah, I mean, it's deceivingly simplistic, right? But yet unforgivingly complex. It's a bare bones presentation, and yet it hooks you with the simple survival mechanisms that make most good games work. You don't want to die, and you think you have enough control over that fate to continually propel you going forward, especially in a head-to-head environment. It's classic, it's legendary, it still holds up. I mean, we're essentially just talking about a game now versus libraries of games.
Right.
So I don't know how fair it is that we put this in there with the other ones.
Well, I made the slide, so it's fair. It's fair.
Yeah, well, the slide is there, so we can't take
fair.
it back. We can't disqualify it now. We can't remove names from the wheel. We couldn't do anything like that. We can't fill in my name on that spot.
Hey, Matt said he didn't want any special treatments. He said it, not me. There you go.
You're the host. You get to make the rules. It's your show.
It's a pioneer. I agree. There's some are trolling the Pong machine, and some are saying it's legendary.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fine. I think this is. I'm gonna say S tier, Jay, just to go against the grain. Let's go S tier with this one.
I absolutely agree. This is a perfect video game. This is the beginning.
But again, this is the game, right? This is the problem with this inclusion.
It's still a home console because there's one game on it. Doesn't mean it's not a home console, right?
Yeah, but okay. Okay, and you picked all the slides, so that's fine. That's fine.
Where's the Price is Right noise?
Wah, wah, wah.
Raj, you can hit that boss meter. The boss meter is not here when we're doing the talking head stuff. It's just because it's a different program I use than the game stuff. It's still there, buddy. And I got some gifted memberships to give out in a couple minutes here. So, okay, let's go and see what you guys are saying. Oof, come on, chat. C tier, 56%.
Because as a home console, you've only got one option, right? I see where chat's coming from here. Every other thing we've mentioned allows you to play more than one game. And the other consoles we mentioned probably all have a port of Pong on a greatest hits package.
Yeah. Yeah, and you don't need the 40D batteries or whatever it is.
No,
All
no,
right,
you don't.
mods ban this guy. Had about enough of them. Just kidding. Matt, don't do it. Den, don't do it. Matt, Matt, I love your reaction when you saw that console for the first time. This, I believe, keeper of the footage, I got in Vegas.
Yep, that's right. The episode
Yes.
came out last week on my channel.
It's you guys. It's right there. Yeah, I know you can't see it, but it's right there. The
Well,
original.
I know
Pong.
it's like 4 feet away from you. Don't go get it.
No,
Don't
I'm
show it off.
I'm not.
No,
I'm not.
no, don't do that.
No.
It's not there.
Oh,
That's
you mean
green
that-
screen. That's just green screen.
It's
There's
green
you,
screen.
the wheel, and a green screen curtain. You and Chad have the same setup.
If you had this in 1975, you were the coolest. I'm just saying.
You were
You
fun for 45 solid minutes with you and your dog.
What?
No kid was cooler than you for 40 minutes.
What are you doing
And
with
30
your
of that
TV
was
there?
used to make Kool-Aid.
What are those weird sticks on the TV? I just want to watch Chips. No, you don't, man. You want to play this thing. Check it out,
But
dude.
Dukes of Hazzard is on.
I'm the stick. You're the other stick. Okay. And so what? And you got to take the square ball and
Why do
try
I
and get it
always got to
past
be
my
the right
stick.
stick? I want to be the left stick or I'm not playing.
But doesn't the Odyssey have overlays? Shush! Don't worry about that. Just play with the stick, kid. All right. I give it an S tier. I don't care what anyone says. S tier for this bad boy. But you
Again,
guys say 56%
making the rules.
C tier. What do you say?
I said S tier. Honestly, I don't think it should be in the conversation, so I am not having an opinion. I refuse to comment since it is unqualified, is too much of an outlier.
So this goes on the same tier as the Neo Geo. Come on, chat. You're killing me. You're killing me.
Now,
Without
Jay,
this-
my time is winding down here. I've got like 20 minutes before I've got to figure out my New Year's plan, ring that bell. So if you
With-
want to get to my other hipster question, we can get to it.
Without Pong, we would have nothing. We would have nothing.
Yeah,
Do you
well,
hear
you
me?
know what? I get it. I get it.
All right, let's do the next two giveaways. And I'm going to give away some memberships while Rob asks you guys the questions. Make sure you answer in the chat. We're going to throw you on the new wheel here. Oh, God, I got to clear it off. Going to throw you on the wheel here. So, Rob, go for it.
Okay, so because there was so much confusion with the last question and it was too hard for some people, we're going to do kind of Price is Right rules. I'm looking for a number, okay? And whoever's closest, will win. You'll get what I mean when I say this. I want to know, can you tell me how many Mega Man video games there have been?
Oh, my God. We're never going to
They
fill
don't.
this with that question.
How many Mega Man video games are there?
This might not be a wheel question, guys. This just might be a whoever gets it kind of thing. All right, chat. Oh my God.
Okay, there's several answers on there, and they're nowhere near close. They're much higher.
Okay, I'm tabbed out, Rob. You keep going. I'm going to gift out some memberships to this amazing community here.
Anything that is Mega Man counts. There's mobile games. There's the main series. There's Mega Man X. There's Battle Network. There's tons.
There we go. Anyone close?
Yeah, we've got a few answers here that are correct on here.
There you go. My gift to you guys. Who got it? So congrats, Jock. Welcome back. Joe Mama, Eric, Easy. I hope I said that right. James. Enjoy your membership, guys. You are welcome to join the Discord. The link will be in the membership tab on the YouTube page and join in our community game days. There you go. Is there more than 20? Yeah. Yep. Okay, this is for one of the posters, by the way.
There's only 5 answers on here in the chat so far that are in the ballpark.
So this one definitely is not going to be a wheel. So Rob's going to decide how he wants to do this. If you want to do prices right rules, up to you, my friend. But this is what you're fighting for here. Well, look at this bad boy. It's glossy. It's beautiful. It needs to be framed. That's the deal.
Well, I think we'll just go with the first one, and if that's what we're going to do then.
14 days, 296 games, no online purchases, game on. All right, Mr. McCallum, it's completely up to you.
Well, the first person to give the right answer, the closest one, is Josh Pepper. There's over 130 Mega Man games.
JP, let's go, buddy. Congrats.
There you go.
Got
Mega
yourself...
Man, Mega Man X, Mega Man Legends, Battle Network, Mega Man Zero series, Mega Man ZX or ZX, Star Force series. There's a lot of Mega Man games.
Congrats, JP. You got a bunch of stuff coming to you, my friend. That bad boy, you got to go to Michael's, though, dude. You got to frame it. Promise. You don't have to frame it. Do whatever you like.
Framing is required, or you have to send it back.
And since Rob's got to take off soon, we're going to do the last trivia trivia question.
Trivia quest.
And then we're going to continue with the tier list, guys. Okay, so how about this? For the final poster, for the final original, authentic Nintendo 64 Quest poster, my question to you is this. What is the subtitle of the Indiana Jones game for the Nintendo 64? Come on, all you indie fans, all you 64 fans. What is the subtitle for the Indiana Jones game on the Nintendo 64? You can hear everyone Googling. That's not, I wouldn't say that's obscure. Come on, man. And if we don't fill 14 slots, then we're going to have to do the old D20. What the hell is an infernal machine? We got here. How many we got here? One.
We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8.
Short round ball kick. No. What's up, Red? How you doing? Okay. 8. So we'll just do the old D20 then. Rob, I'm going to give it to you. We're going to roll the D20, ladies and gentlemen. For the winner of the final Nintendo 64 Quest poster, number 3, Rob.
All right. 1, 2, 3. Matt Rubin.
Matt Rubin won the Nintendo 64 Quest poster. Congrats, my friend. Let me write that down here. Perfect. Awesome. Appreciate that. All the 64 stuff donated by Rob. And it's been a pleasure, my friend, to have you on the show once again. Anything you want to say to the chat while you're here?
Yeah, it's awesome. I hope you guys have had an enjoyable 2024. 2025 is almost upon us. And if you don't have a copy of Nintendo 64 Quest and yet you would like to have one on DVD or Blu-ray, you'll be able to do that very soon at Nintendo64Quest.com. You already see us teasing it on there. You'll see the coming soon. And we're going to start sending discs out very soon. So if you want to check out our 14-episode journey and all the discussion of the N64 era, you need to pick this up. It'll make your 2025 amazing. I promise.
Thank you, Mr. McCallum. Thanks for joining us. Guys, don't go anywhere. We still got lots of tier action going on. All right, buddy. Hey, Happy New Year to you and your family.
Happy New Year, brother.
I'll see you next year, I guess.
Yeah. Cheers, brother. Cheers,
See ya.
guys.
All right, rocking and rolling. We're going on here. Where did we leave off? We left off on the Pong. That's right. Everyone's favorite joke. Let's talk this guy. 1995. The Sony PlayStation. Wow. Do you guys remember what other system came out in 1995? The Sega Saturn. Now, this was an interesting time. Now, once again, we had another company that was not strictly video games coming into the fray. And I remember when the Saturn dropped, and I believe the Saturn is on this list. Okay. I remember when the Saturn dropped. Let me put the poll up for you guys. Everyone was excited, but a couple of things were wrong right off the hop. So the Saturn came out in May of 95. Two big red flags were the price of the system in Canadian dollars was $399, and Sony at the Consumer Electronics Show, you remember that fateful day, they went up to the podium and just said $299. So it's $100 less. Plus the launch titles arguably might have been better. I think there was like 14 or 15. Saturn had 2, maybe 3, right? I mean, they did have a port of Daytona, which was amazing. Virtual Fighter port was awesome. And then they had a third, not a third party, a platforming game called Bug by Sega, which also came out. This, of course, yeah. So Den's mentioning the first DualShock. Yeah, the original PlayStation controller did not look like this. It didn't have the analog sticks, of course. PS1 is F, GTA machine. What does that mean, my friend? I'll still be here. Let's go. Let's do it, guys. Pook Ninja says S tier on this. Okay. What were some of the launch games that you guys remember that really stood out? Battle Arena Toshinden was like almost a must. Gex Rayman. Those were ports though, right? Those were on the 3DO and the Jaguar. It was, I mean, who had those systems anyway? So for a lot of people, yes, this was the first time they played Gex. But Gex was the unofficial mascot for 3DO. Just say it. 618. So it's all relevant. Yeah. But who had those? I did. So we had Sega plugging along with the overabundance of hardware that hurt them pretty badly. We had the Sega CD, which was an attachment perfect for the Genesis with the 32X. They brought out the Sega Nomad, which was the portable Genesis, also in 95. And then they dumped the Saturn. What I think, basically, it's just too much. And you scared the crap out of a lot of customers, primarily the parents of people who bought video games for their kids. It's just too much. It's too confusing. Oh, and the 32X. Did I mention that? And then you have this beautiful, clean machine, the Phoenix, rising out of the ashes of the Super Nintendo CD-ROM, the technology that was perhaps going to go into that. We got the PlayStation. The rest is history. This machine is, to me, pretty much near perfect. This is where Metal Gear really took off, even though it did not debut on the PlayStation. Metal Gear became a PlayStation franchise. The fact that these were CDs and Nintendo with their next hardware was still going to stick to cartridge made companies like Square say, we're not putting our Final Fantasy on a cartridge. So I guess we're going to Sony, right? HGC says some games like Medal of Honor, Tekken, Crash, the Band of Nothings. Yep, those games. Here's the launch titles. I remember having ESPN Extreme, which was pretty cool at the time. Of course, now it's just a pile of lunch, right? But back then, Street Fighter the movie was a launch title. Oh my God, I don't remember that. I do not remember that. It's incredible. What's up, Lisa, with the 50K? Woo! The dogs are going crazy with the wheel, but that's okay. That's okay. Where are we here? Thank you very much. Much love to you as well. Now, when the Saturn came out, like in '95, for there's some younger people in the chat, but I just mean people like around our age where you were able to buy game systems. You remember when the Saturn launched and the PlayStation launched. Was it a difficult decision for you guys? Did you sit there and you're like, wow, am I going to get the Sega Saturn or am I going to get the Sony PlayStation? I remember in my neck of the woods, it was pretty universal. I think a lot of people were tired of Sega and just the overabundance of building what seemed to be a castle, which was their hardware pile. And to shell out another $300 or $400, let's not forget, a year prior in '94, they released the 32X. Right? Now, with Tom Kalinske, the former head of Mattel and Matchbox, being in charge of Sega now, he did the toy model where they wanted to put a price-appropriate console for each household, right? So you want to go to 32 bits, but you can't really afford it. Well, here's the 32X. It's just an add-on. Sounded good on paper, but unfortunately, as we know in history, it didn't translate very well. It just didn't. TJC, yeah, I love that Street Fighter game. I think it controls exactly like the others. I absolutely love it. Like, it's awesome. So here we are at the PlayStation. You guys are saying 88% A tier. I think I would agree. I think I would have to agree. I don't think that it's an S tier system. I think if we're going to talk S tier, well, maybe we'll save it. But I think it's definitely an A tier. So let's end that. And I would agree with you guys totally. I would say that this is definitely an A tier system. So the PS1 on the A tier, I agree with the chat. We got no S's. We got no S's. It might be a little bit easier now that there's just one person who has to green light the S. But I almost feel like at this point, the S tier should maybe be taken off the board, considering that there is only one. I don't want it to be biased here. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Maybe Lucas thinks it should be on the S tier.
It's so bad.
Okay, well, he just loves the Power Glove. That doesn't tell me anything. Move SNES up. Cannot do that, my friend. It was you guys that voted. That's how this game works. You guys get to pick. Moving on next. 2006 saw the release of the PlayStation 3. A week after this bad boy. This is the Nintendo Wii console. A game changer in almost every single way. I want to hear your Wii thoughts. What did you guys think of this system when it came out? Did you buy one? This came out, like I said, in a week's time, almost to the day. The PS3 dropped, so it was a tough call. The PlayStation 3, when it launched, had two different hard drive sizes. Both consoles were really difficult to get at launch, and most people could only afford one. So they picked either the PS3 or the Wii. 100% for me, it was the Wii. It was a no contest. Just seeing the way Nintendo was innovating the industry again, it was a no-brainer. And when they showed that demo of Wii Sports, I'm not a bowler. I'm not a golfer. But dudes, when they showed that, everyone looked at the remote. Everyone's like, what is this? What am I supposed to do with this? It looked like a de-evolution of a video game controller, but you had to hold it to understand. You know what I mean? You had to hold it to understand. Norg says we is a B. Sorry, excuse me, a B tier. Josh says it's S because it was for everyone. It was a console in daycares and senior citizens' homes. Yes, and I can't pump that statement up enough, Josh. For me, one of the most important things is that we push our hobby further and we expand the people that play, right? And I think the Wii was so good at doing that. Like Josh said, little kids were playing it, and senior citizens who had never touched a video game all of a sudden were playing Wii Sports and remember the Wii Fit fad and all that stuff. It was wonderful. I loved that. Working at EB, we had people come in all the time that were in charge of senior citizen homes buying Wiis for the people that lived there. I thought it was amazing. Yeah, I remember Den says I remember lots of retirement communities calling me to set up a Wii. Many still use them to keep their residents active and entertained. It's amazing. I totally agree. TJ says I had to have them all. Certain games caused me to buy the system it was on, such as Sega Rally and Daytona on the Saturn, Splinter Cell and Halo on the Xbox, Mario 64 on N64. The list goes on. And I'm with you, buddy. I'm with you. Yeah, I made that decision long ago, like as soon as I was old enough to work. When a game came out that I was interested in, I didn't want to worry about what system it was on. So I was always in love with all hardware. Some people love Sega, some people love Nintendo. I loved it all. I'm right there with you. I didn't want to have to make that decision, Yeah, I'd like really deep cuts like Splatterhouse, which you could only get on TurboGrafx. I didn't want to miss out on that. Nintendo didn't have Splatterhouse. Genesis at the time did not have Splatterhouse. Do you know what I mean? HEC says, I've never played a single game on this system. Well, right now, I mean, going back in history, is it worth it to play stuff like Twilight Princess? Yeah, but you can play it on the Wii U, and it will be far easier. It'll be easier on your eyes, let's put it that way. But I think if you go back now and you play Wii Sports, which was primarily known for the bowling game, it wouldn't have the same effect. Do you know what I mean? But back then it was just a game changer. And every company tried to mimic it. Sony tried to mimic it with its Move. Microsoft tried to mimic it with the Kinect. They both did poor jobs on it. I will say at least Microsoft tried something different with the hands-free, right? Sony just copied it 100%. Pook says, every time I see a cheap Wii at thrift stores, I pick it up. I currently own 11 Wii consoles. I need help. I know what you mean. You feel that need to have many of that thing you love. Many of us that are in the toy community do that as well with action figures. And I always wondered, like, for video games, I always wanted to like buy that same game. I was thinking like Perfect Dark for a while because I'm such a big fan of that. But I mean, that game's about $30 loose, so that can be pretty expensive. Do you know what I mean? You ever played 3D Splatterhouse on 360? Yes. Yeah, it's pretty good from what I remember. I haven't. I have it, but it doesn't work on newer Xboxes because they don't have the license for it. I don't think my 360 works anymore. I don't know. I haven't powered it up in a long, long time. So where are we going to put the Wii? With everything that we've discussed about this bad boy, you guys say 46% A tier. I would agree with that. I don't think S tier, and I will say this, okay? The Zelda game on it is Twilight Princess. It's a pretty good Zelda game. It's not one of my favorites. The Mario game on it is Galaxy 1 and 2. Traditional. They're pretty good, but they're not S tier. It's not like Odyssey. It's not like 64. Do you know Mario 64? So for those reasons alone, like Rob and I were saying about first party titles, if you have real bangers, and I'm not saying those games are bad. I'm just saying I don't think like Galaxy and Twilight Princess are on the same level as perhaps others in the franchise. Speaking Moistly says, we is F in my opinion. That's fair, buddy. That's fair. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are moving on. Again, thanks to each and every one of you for being here. If you guys are enjoying the content, please consider becoming a channel member. I have 3 different levels with awesome perks like playing games with the community at least once a week, access to the private Discord, and if you'd like, you can appear on a talking head stream, as I call them, like this. Let's get into it. Now, we talked a lot about this when we showed the PlayStation a couple minutes ago. So I put this on here for Rob. He's not even here, but that's okay. The Sega Saturn. The Sega Saturn did something that no other video game company has ever done, and that is they launched the console in North America without telling anybody. It was released on May 5th, 1995. And I've told this story a million times. I'm going to tell it again for the new people here. I remember walking in the mall, walking beside EB Games. That was when they had, remember the glass walls, the display, they were boutiques, and seeing the Saturn and just doing a double take. It wasn't coming soon. It wasn't coming in September. It was here now. So to get the jump on the Sony PlayStation, to catch those early sales, they released it in May of 1995. But they only had 2 or 3 games for the entire couple of months they had that head start. And although Virtual Fighter was great, Daytona, very incredible port of the arcade. Bug, take it or leave it. It still didn't help the Saturn. There were ports of some games like Resident Evil, for instance, is on Saturn and PlayStation. It's a little inferior graphically compared to the PlayStation if you're comparing like the 2 Resident Evils together. I don't think enough for anyone to notice. I certainly wouldn't have noticed had I not researched it. System has a few things going for it. The library, I mean, this is kind of sad to say, but the library, because the system didn't sell that well, the games for the Saturn are worth a lot of money. So if you happen to have a bunch of Sega Saturn games, they're worth a lot. They just are. If you have a copy of Bomberman, if you have Resident Evil, what other games on the Saturn? Mega Man, I think Mega Man 8. Games like that are just worth an absolute fortune. Panzer Dragoon Saga. Another thing the system is going for it. Aunt Connie loved it. She did. She really loved it. Boo the Sega Saturn. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, looks like we got ourselves a heckler in the chat. This guy's always causing trouble. Dragon Force and Guardian Heroes alone make it an A tier. Also Daytona USA and Manx TT Superbike. Awesome, Pook. Thanks for commenting there. Sega Saturn Quest, because Neo Geo is just too damn expensive. I would almost wager that Saturn is probably along the same lines, dude. Like, I think like Resident Evil, just throwing it out there, is like $300. You know what I mean? And the Saturn quickly disappeared. So again, consequently, because we have so much Sega hardware being released in 1999, pure speculation, just my opinion, when the Dreamcast launched, it was very successful, but I still think a lot of people were like, I'm kind of over the Sega thing, because next year they're just going to bring out something else. That's just what I think. Let's put the Saturn up on the poll. In the great console wars, I don't remember there being much of a debate between Saturn owners and PlayStation owners. And to be quite honest, I don't know a lot of people back in the day that had a Saturn. Because again, came out in 95 and the PlayStation, everyone kept hearing about this PlayStation, rising from the ashes of Nintendo and all this. Everyone was really interested to see what Sony can do. Again, it's $100 cheaper. So I know a lot of people just kind of backed off and waited for the PlayStation to launch. Destro says, would you buy a Sega Saturn today if you didn't have one? I'm thinking about it. 100%. 100%. I think it's got a really interesting library. A lot of, again, very expensive rare titles like Warcraft 2. Warcraft 2. Cool stuff like that, But Destro, to continue, the games are a lot. The games are a lot. There you go. You guys are voting. Where would I put the Saturn in the grand scheme of things? Where would I put the Saturn in the grand scheme of things? Well, would I want it in the collection? Yes. So it's above a C tier. How important is this console in video game history? Minimal. I think its importance and relevance is minimal. Game-wise, is there great games on it? I mean, what's even the Sonic game on this? I know the Sonic team, they didn't work on anything on the Saturn. One reason why the Sonic games just bombed on this thing. But their flagship series Sonic, I can't even name the Sonic game on this. Do you know what I mean? So what games are must-have on this? Daytona? Not really, because you could get a Dreamcast and get Daytona. Back then, sure, if you wanted a pretty good arcade translation of Daytona, this was where you could get it. I don't know. And it was $100 more. That's a lot of money, man. That's right. Back to Japan to do nights. Exactly. And you could tell that the Sonic team was not working on Sonic during this era. Was Echo on this, guys? I know Echo was on Genesis. Panzer Dragoon, yeah, TJ, awesome game. Mortal Kombat looked great on it. Now, was it the Mortal Kombat trilogy? It was trilogy, right? Echo my lips. I don't have the greatest knowledge of the Saturn library, so I'm relying on you guys here. I know a few. There you go. Okay, so I'm gonna have to give it. I'm gonna put it on the B tier. I'm gonna agree with you guys. I'm gonna agree with the 42% of you that said it should be a B tier. I absolutely would want it, like Destro said. If I didn't have it, would I want it? Yes, I would. But again, there's not those games on it that I'm dying to play. But that makes it great for the hipster collectors also like myself. There you go. I can talk myself into anything. Look at that. Matt says, whoops, Panzer Dragoon was the only game I ever wanted to play on the Saturn that wasn't on the other consoles. So it couldn't be that great. There you go. JB Jodographs, welcome on in, my friend. How are you? Happy New Year's Eve to you. Saturn is a C tier. Congratulations on your channel and happy 2025. Thanks, Keith. I appreciate that, mate. Much love to you. Keep rocking and rolling. Oh, yeah, Sega Rally. Right. Oh, man. You know what? I used to have Sega Rally. Yeah, the Sega racing games were sick. Let's face it, though, Nights into Dreams is very much a fever dream. But it just goes to show when you don't have the original developers behind the IP that you created. Do you know what I mean? What happens to a franchise? And you've seen it in some Mario titles, and I'm talking specifically the side-scrolling ones, like some of the ones on the Wii and the Wii U that Miyamoto wasn't directly involved with creating. You can tell. Same with the Sonic games, right? ET Echo Killer. What is everyone okay? Who's drinking? Who's drinking in the chat? Let me know. It's 5:07 right here, right now. Who's drinking? Coffee. I got some Heineken Zeros, maybe some Bud Light Zeros. But that's for later. It's just going to be cookies and zero beer. There you go. Moisley's drinking. Cheers to you, buddy. We got one more. In 1985, there was a small test market in New York that got to try out the Nintendo Entertainment System. And in 1986, it went to Los Angeles, California. And then shortly after, in August, launched worldwide, North America wide, I should say, excuse me, the Nintendo Entertainment System. Huh. Well, where do we start, guys? Let me get the poll up. Think about this one carefully. So we had, again, I'm not talking Japanese consoles here for this particular example. I'm talking North American. Okay. Keep that in mind because the two markets were very different back then. So I'm talking NES. We had Master System. Both launched in 1986. I knew one person who had a Sega Master System. That's it. I saw him play a few games. I was kind of intrigued, but overall, it was my buddy Darren who got the NES. And it was my buddy Darren who let me play his NES when I stayed over at his house. So I got introduced to Gyromite. What else did I play? Gyromite, Duck Hunt, because he had the Rob the Robot set. Of course, he got Super Mario Brothers for his birthday. Ghosts and Goblins he had. Ninja Gaiden he had. We rented The Legend of Zelda. I have to talk about my buddy Darren because he was an inspiration to me. He had that drive. He had that determination to not let the games beat him. He would stay up all friggin' night. And that's where I learned a lot of my, for lack of a better terminology, stubbornness when it comes to games, where I just won't quit until I'm absolutely running on E. But he showed me all these and got me into this world. Now, this was something. I had, at this point, in 1985, an Atari 2600. Darren had this thing. What the hell is this thing? It looks like an ice box. And what's with that controller? There's no joystick. What is this? What is this? It's got Mattel on it. So it's got to be a toy, right? I don't know. What I do know is the first time I played Gyromite, I was enthralled by the graphics. The game's trash, right? The game's crap. Who's ever played Gyromite? And don't tell me Stack Up and Gyromite are great games. They're not. But the graphics. Dr. Hector never looked so great. Of course, when we played Super Mario Brothers, it was a game changer. Video games, to judge how much your skill is increased over time, would be all based on scores. Well, this game, Super Mario Brothers, went on score, but there was also different paths you could take. There was secrets you could find. And more importantly, Super Mario Brothers ended. It was like a movie, or it was like a book. You could complete it. You could have a conclusion to the experience. And from that, apart from high scores, you could feel something that to me became a very addictive feeling, and that is completing the game. Being able to tell your buddies, I beat this game. And we never used to say back then, I finished the game. But we would say, I beat it. I beat the S out of that game. I beat it. Did you beat it, man? Because I freaking beat it. I beat Super Mario, man. That was a huge thing to brag about. Were there some circles that talked about high scores in Super Mario Brothers? I'm sure there was. But my circle was not one of those. We didn't care. Could you beat the dragon guy at the end of the 8th level? Could you do that? If you could, you were awesome. Well, my buddy Darren did. He also beat Ghosts and Goblins and Ninja Gaiden right before my friggin' eyes. TJ says, I always wanted to buy the deluxe set, which came with everything, including Rob and the Zapper, but could never find it, so I had to settle for the action set. Yeah, the set with Rob was recalled because the little plates that spin were giving static shocks, so it got recalled. Unfortunately, it wasn't available too long, which is weird because I don't remember that problem happening with the Famicom. And Josh, we saw a Famicom Rob the Robot, which by the way is awesome. He's like red and white instead of like the two grays. He's red and white. It's awesome. Gyromite is an exercise in frustration. Well, yeah, you have to play it with your buddy. And we all squished our buddies with the red and blue walls. We all did. We did. Pookta just says, got my NES for Christmas 1986, Gyromite and Duck Hunt in 2 separate carts. Yes. 2 controllers and a light gun. Then took Christmas money from my grandparents and bought pro wrestling. Dude, that was, I think, Pook, I think pro wrestling was my first game. I'm trying to think. I believe I got the action set. I'm trying to remember. I definitely didn't have Rob the Robot. I bought all that later when I was an adult collector. I never had any of that stuff. So I'm trying to think if I got the one that had Mario and Duck Hunt on the same cart. I think I did. Because again, I never had Mario or Duck Hunt separate as a kid. So it must have been later on when they put them both on the same cart. Yeah, I remember Rob the Robot being a thing of legend. Just like being so excited because, you know, loving toys as much as I did, as we all did. This thing was cool. It was like, do you guys remember the Probot toy from the 80s? Who remembers the Probot? It looked like one of those things. But this thing, man, it could be your buddy. It could play a game with you. Well, precisely 2. To be honest, I don't think we ever got it to work properly. Norg says Neo Dreamland and Chipmunks were amazing games. Just like the Super NES and NES had well over 70 great fun games. Oh, I totally agree. The NES, Capcom, Purple Label, Disney games in particular were all fantastic. They were all great. DuckTales, Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, very, very, very solid games. Darkwing Duck, Tailspin. TJ, we didn't do Dreamcast. No, I just randomly selected 10. And the 2 last ones were for Rob, but he had to take off. It is New Year's Eve, again, which is why we're doing this early in the afternoon, because I'm sure everyone has plans. So where are we going to put the NES? Where are we going to put the NES? Well, the gut instinct says S tier. Is it S tier? JB Jodographs, yeah, Starman. I liked the dude who looked like Hulk Hogan. Who's the blonde guy with the blonde mullet? The poll is up, my friends. Danjamin, excuse me, good to see you, my friend. How are you? Happy New Year. Yeah, the NES is I mean, for me, it's an S tier. It just is. For so many reasons, I could, write a 2 million word essay on why. I could talk about it for days. I just could. The importance of the console, what it did to the video game industry, the importance of Super Mario Brothers, just all of that. The power of the machine, how it made the Coleco, the Intellivision, the Atari just look like absolute baby toys. It crushed it. And how the trickery of the North American market with Mattel disguised this thing as a toy because our parents weren't going to buy another video game to just sit in the corner and collect dust. Oh, no, don't worry. This is a toy. Look, it's got a toy gun. Look, it's got a toy robot. Pure genius. King Slender, that's it. King Slender. Yep. The blonde dude looked like Hogan without the handlebar. Yeah, I liked him. Starman was great. And remember, was it Amazon? You bite the head, remember? That game's just amazing. Great Panther. Was it Great Panther? He had the brown hair, didn't he? Wait. Oh man, I'm lost now. NES is like eating peanut butter cookies all day. Yes, it is. Nobody gives a lips about the robots. Where are we going to put it, guys? Well, if I go to the poll here, pretty much a landslide. 88% say the A tier. Should we bump it up to the S? I don't really have anyone to go against here, so I feel like we can't really do that. But guess what? We're friggin' gonna do it anyway, ladies and gentlemen. For what system deserves the S tier? If it's not the friggin' NES, do it, dog! What system? What system deserves it if not the NES? I tell you, I ask you this minute. Oh, we're talking pro wrestling still. The Great Puma was the last wrestler in pro wrestling. Okay, so no, I know what you're saying. Chocolate milk with those cookies. Oof. I'll do black coffee. Hot black coffee and peanut butter cookies all day long. Matt says, I haven't seen Do It Doug for a while.
That's what she said.
It is? Is that what she said? I got them all queued up here. It's been a while since I've used them all. Speaking moistly, Happy New Year, my friend. Thanks for hanging out. Always good to see you. That is our tier list. So congratulations to the NES. We kind of bumped it up. That's fine. Even though we broke our own rules. Genesis, Super Nintendo, the Xbox, the PlayStation, and the Wii are all A tiers. Let's be honest. These are all friggin' A tier, are they not? They're all A tier. So what's everyone doing for New Year's? Thinking about getting a pizza. Well, you better order soon, bud. They're probably going to be backed up. I bet you every place is like super backed up. No problem, dude. Like I said, Chad was supposed to be here, but he got tied up, and that's not his fault. He wanted to be here. It seems like him and Rob are not meant to be on the same stream. It just feels that way. Skyfall, thanks, buddy. It was a lot of fun. Playing Dragon Quest 3 HD on the Switch. Nice. It's fun, right? I played a bit of that last month, I think. Maybe October. Pizza and the Mario movie. Which Mario movie? Mrs. Batstan is making snickerdoodles and Reese peanut butter with fudge. Oh my God, so good. Or something. Maybe it's white chocolate. Also, she is making mocha coffee with French vanilla and pizza later. Oh my God. I'm coming over. Coming over. Cutthroat's playing NBA 2K 2024 and Fortnite OG. Let me just give a shout out to a movie that I watched called The Substance. If you guys like classic 80s horror movies, I can't recommend it enough. You can now rent it on Amazon. But The Substance, I'm telling you, I can't say enough good things about it. It is friggin' awesome. And if you like practical horror effects, check it out. You will not be disappointed. 50,000 subs. 50,000 subs. You guys are incredible. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this wonderful journey that has been going on since 2020. From when I started as a Star Wars only kind of toy channel to just a toy channel, evolving that into The gaming channel, thank you all for all of your support. I can't thank you enough. And I'm committed to you guys to making the best content I possibly can through our live streams and produced videos. So you guys being here each and every stream and just chatting it up and having a great time with me, I can't thank you enough. You guys are the absolute best. I could not do it without you. I couldn't. We have arrived at the final form, which is the game channel, which I think it always was going to turn into. Thank you guys. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. So we are starting our full week tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday, which is New Year's Day. Bright and early, those of you who aren't super hungover, we're doing speed runs for Mega Man 2. Our buddy Bowler is also taking the Mega Man 2 challenge. Anyone else out there who wants to speed run Mega Man 2, it doesn't have to be right now or tomorrow. Just speed run it. Let me know your time from beginning to end. The second you pick that first boss, the timer starts. Until you beat Alien Wily, the timer stops. Let me know your time. But we're going to do some speed runs with Mega Man 2 tomorrow. It's going to be lots of fun. What else do we have? Final Fantasy VII. We are starting that. Halo 2. We are concluding Halo 2, which I'm looking forward to. And on Saturday, our community day, once again with Grand Theft Auto, where we're helping Dr. Dre and the agency. And, probably shooting a couple cars and blowing stuff up. Matt Rubin with the 5. Thank you so much. Matt says, congratulations on the 50K subs, Jay. Let's keep breaking through and getting bigger and better. And yes, we are doing that together as a community. You guys are the absolute best. TJC, not 50K, but I've just reached 195. Oh, that's great, dude. That's great, dude. Very proud of you. You keep pushing, man. Guys, make sure you check out my buddy TJC. Great gamer. Just a fun, very, very kind dude. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Happy New Year all, and congrats, Jay. So Destro, 20 months. 20 months. Buddy, time flies. Thank you so much for the support. Much love to you. And like I texted you today, I look forward to see what you're doing with your channel, the direction you decide to go. Skyfall, friggin' 12 months. The Canadians are in the house. The Canadians are in the house. Thank you, my friend. Always great to have you on the streams. We got 5 gifted from the Den of Geek. Let's go. I don't have my sound effect. Hang on. I'll bootleg it. So congrats to Amber, to V. Connolly, to Roy, to Nick, to the Vinyl Medic. You can thank the Den of Geek for that. Again, if you guys join at any level on my channel, you can join in on our community days and play. We've been playing Call of Duty, Fortnite, Grand Theft Auto, 7 Days to Die. We're pretty much open to anything. And you can join, if you wish, on a tier list with Chad and I, or the Talking Head streams, and also on the private Discord. So if you are a channel member, if you go under the community tab of the YouTube channel, you can see my name. Just add me, and we'll get you in there where hilarious hijinks ensue. Our good buddy Zero, congratulations, Jay. Have a great New Year with the $5. Hang on, I got to bootleg it. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. You have a good New Year as well. And always good to see you in the chat. HGC with the 9 months, dude, bro. HGC. What is it doing there? Clicking on the wrong screen. 9 months. Thank you for the support, mate. And I remember when you first joined, you came here from the toy stuff, and I remember you said, I always swore, and this is hilarious that he said that, I always swore that I would never watch another person play video games. And HCC is always here and just having a blast with us. And it's always good to have you in here, buddy. Thank you so much. Skyfall with the 10. Hang on. Let's go. Happy New Year over here from us Canucks. And we're getting snowfall, buddy. I don't know about you, but we're getting some snowfall here and we're freezing, but we're all tucked in. We're all tucked in. We got our Heineken Zeros and our peanut butter cookies, and we're ready to rock. The Average Gamer, member for 1 month. Dude, thank you. Thank you for the ongoing support. Happy New Year's to you, Jay, and all the legends. Thank you for allowing me to join this wonderful group. Oh, man. It's so great having you here. Thank you for being part of the Legends Club. You guys are awesome. Whew. That's a lot. That's a lot. Look at all this love. I appreciate it. Bad Stan. Love you, buddy. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys. I wouldn't. So thank you. Shout out to all you guys. You're always in my streams, and I appreciate it. TK, it's been a while. How are you? Hey, Jay, Happy New Year, and congratulations on this milestone of your channel. Thank you, my friend. I hope you're doing well. Spin the wheel. There's nothing on it. We'll spin it, though. It's funny Rob screwed that up. I got the nice new wheel for 2025, and Rob screwed it up. Absolutely amazing. Only McCallum could screw up the wheel. I have to entertain myself during the drudgery of my workday most of the time and drag everyone here along with me. Well, you appreciate it. Rob is the original Phantom Menace. He really is. You guys are the absolute best, okay? I'll see you bright and early. Don't be too hungover. I'll see you at 9 a.m. for some Mega Man speed runs. I love you guys. The Legends Club for life. Have a great New Year's Eve, and I'll see you guys next year. Store is the hottest new online gaming store, hitting just in time for the holiday season. You can find their insane selection of miniature games, collectible card games, and board games at thegamestore.com. Currently, they're pushing their huge campaign on filling half their store with video games. And that means they are buying video games like crazy. Now, if you can't make it to their brick and mortar store, you can sell your games online with 3 easy steps. Step number 1, send a list of the games you wish to sell at sales@thegamestore.com. Make sure you add if they're complete, working, non-working, or minty fresh. 2, you will receive a preliminary offer back that may change depending on further inspection. Once you have the offer, it's good for 3 days. All you have to do is reply back and accept it. Step 3. Finally, the game store will send you a prepaid label that you print out and you just ship your games to them. Upon inspection, verification, and acceptance of the price, they will send you the money any way you choose. Now that can be cash, check, PayPal, bottle caps, any way you choose. Get in on the ground floor and sell your games that are just sitting there collecting dust. And just remember, wherever you are, wherever you play, everyone shops at the games.